أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم.
Good afternoon to all of our participants in this webinar. My name is Sana Khalid from GPF, and I'm the moderator of this webinar today. Green Professionals Forum was formed with the main objectives of serving the Pakistani professionals and benefiting them by sharing knowledge and expertise in various activities which could add value in their professions. Please feel free to connect with us via our website, LinkedIn, and other social media pages for our forthcoming professional events. The GPF team would like to extend our warm welcome to all the participants, and I would like to present you our key speaker of this webinar, Mrs. Quratulain Khan. Mrs. Khan possesses a professional and specialized qualification in business administration from University of Missouri, USA. She is Master's in English Language of Teaching and has also obtained a professional teaching diploma from UK. She has got a worldwide experience in knowledge management from the Netherlands and South Africa. She is founder of Paragon's English Language Teaching Associates and currently working as a director. She is also coaching IELTS learners for the last 5 years. Welcome once again, and hope that all the participants will get benefit from this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, I present to you Mrs. Quratulain Khan.
Thank you, Ms. Sana, for this comprehensive intro. I am truly obliged to have this wonderful occasion provided by GPF. I want to further extend my gratitude to the entire team and wish them success. Also not forgetting the respectable members. Thank you for taking time out of your busy calendars for this meetup. As I know, our days tend to be frenetic, always rushing around. Our topic today is cracking IELTS. I am sure a lot of you must have heard about the test, but might not be aware of the norms that it carries. Yet I'll generally be speaking about the test or the rules and the regulations associated with it. Before proceeding further, the fact that you should be familiarized with is understanding the test and developing the right skills is the key to success and a high score. Well, it is definitely a test that opens doors around the world. The test itself is recognized and accepted worldwide. If I may say, there is no major difference in the British Council IELTS or the IDP IELTS or the ones which were carried through University of Cambridge. As the exam format and the questions are same on a particular date of exam. If any of the entities are conducting an exam in certain parts of the world on a particular date, the entire exam has the same content. All of them, they use the variety of range of accents. IELTS is designed to assess English language skills across a wide range of levels. Once you're done with the test, the results are effective for 2 years, so there's no problem in the validity of the test. Also, there is no such thing as a pass or fail in IELTS. Results are reported as band scores on a scale, as you can see here, from 1 to 9, and precisely from lowest to the highest. Now, what is IELTS? IELTS itself stands for International English Language Testing System. It is a sort of an evaluation of the English language ability of those people who mean to study or wish to work in English-speaking countries, basically. Now, talking about paper or computer-based test, it is the same format. Just you need to put your answers on the computer rather than on the paper in a computer-based. Marking, timing, content, rest of everything is similar. You are tested on listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills. Now, we got two modules here, academic and general. But how do we do that? So I should make that clear. Particularly, IELTS academic is a test for those learners who wish to study at undergraduate or postgraduate levels, and for those seeking professional registration. On the contrary, IELTS General is for those who wish to migrate to an English-speaking country, such as Australia, UK, US, or Canada, or any other promising country from the West. Also for those who wish to train or study at a below degree level. Both the tests are different only, as you can see, in the reading and writing modules. However, all students take the same test for listening and speaking. Now, on the subject of criteria per module, let me explain that. As you can see here, diversified pattern of questions are chosen as MCQs, table completion, map diagram, labeling. You're assessed and evaluated on those questions. As you can see, they're not the same for all modules. Reading has different type of questions. Writing has two tasks, which are entirely different from the reading and listening patterns. Speaking is another entire entity where there are 3 parts and you're assessed for your conversation skills. There are sections which are also differentiated in all the modules. Reading will be judged in 3 sections. Listening is judged for 4 sections, writing in 2 sections, and speaking for 3 sections. Timing also varies for all the modules. As you can see, 30 minutes for listening, 1 hour for reading, 1 hour for writing, and 14 to 15 minutes almost for speaking. Marking for the sections, marking for the modules. Reading and listening have same pattern, 40 marks, 40 questions, 1 mark each for all the questions. And for writing, there are 2 tasks. Task 2 is heavier than task 1. It carries more weightage. Task 1 is 150 words for about a letter or maybe a chart, table, or a diagram or a process you need to explain academically. Speaking itself, you are assessed for your fluency, your coherence, your lexicon, also pronunciation, and your vocabulary. The skills that you are assessed on, as you can see in the list, that's also different for all the modules. Reading, you're assessed for your main ideas, for any kind of details, understanding of inferences and implied meanings. Where for listening, you are assessed for recognizing opinions, the attitudes and purpose of speaker, any kind of development of an argument. Writing is entirely different from listening and reading. It is the most creative part of the test, where you have to respond according to the ability of your skills based on the content, organizing the ideas, any kind of vocabulary you possess, grammatical accuracy. Speaking is also a little bit referring to the writing. Listening or speaking also has the same pattern, but you are assessed on the communication skills you are having, the conversational skills, where you understand the situations in a social context, speaking at length, or analyzing, or discussing, or speculating about future. Now, the tips or strategies for cracking the IELTS to like really doing it. Remember one thing, that success depends on the way you solve a task, and the way you write essay, or your time management, or people actually who knows the right path. They have the guidance, they get good score. If your goal is to score high in your IELTS exam, you will need a good level of English communication skills already as a base. That's the foundation for IELTS test. There is a lot of difference when you think of IELTS as improving your English skills and not developing. It's actually a test of understanding the language and not improving. Yes, in the process you do improve, but it is not to improve your English. It's about your understanding of language as a whole. You can start your preparation by reading, listening, or writing, or also analyzing different daily situations, where listening to maybe English news, or reading newspaper, or magazines, or speaking with your friends whenever possible. Reading English materials is something you need to improve your comprehension skills, and of course writing skills as well. While doing writing practice, you can ask someone to correct your essays or proofread. Online practice tests are the best way to prepare for IELTS, where you can take a lot of practice tests. Also, you will get tutor assistance. There are so many websites, for instance, who provide video classes, practice tests, or also downloadable material, or even tutor assistance. So I would recommend search for those sites and have online training for good scoring. Okay, now coming back to the listening strategies. The sources that might help you for listening could be, or actually I would suggest actually, you should make it a habit to listen to English news, any kind of documentaries, or watching movies, English movies as well. It gives you a lot of broad exposure to the language itself, because all this will help you to hear different dialects, different accents, to improve your listening skills. Now, how to get this right, how to approach the task. I think the first important tip is read the instructions for each task very carefully. What I meant was that after a short introduction, the speaker on the recording tells you that you have 30 seconds to read the task. So don't lose that time. Use this time to study the questions, hence preparing yourself, knowing that what you're listening for. Make sure you understand what needs to be done. Similarly, you can check the maximum number of words allowed. Secondly, you should check your spelling. It's a basic grammar. If you write any name with spelling wrong, you lose marks. So be very careful in case of numbers, names. Be especially careful to write plural forms of nouns when necessary. Make sure you include symbols such as decimal points for numbers, or currency symbol for money, or using standard abbreviation as well. I don't recommend abbreviations in the test, but If required, then you should know what the standard abbreviation is for a native speaker. There are sometimes distractors on the listening test. You need to be very aware of any twisters coming up. Don't write answers very quickly, because sometimes you may think whatever you hear is the answer, but conversation gives you slightly different information. So if a speaker whispers or mumbles words, it is probably not the correct answer. Answer all questions, because if you leave any blank, there will be chance to write answers in wrong boxes, and it's a mistake. Please consider it as a mistake. It's not, they're not going to give you a benefit of doubt. So the other important tip is to look for clues in the question. That means looking down to the question. Possibility is that you will hear a word that matches the information given in the question. It's also vital to practice transferring the answers into the answer sheet while you're doing the mock tests at home. You can always download it online. You should always remember, listening effectively does not mean you need to understand every single word you hear. In fact, you should not even try, and do not panic if you don't understand each word. It's really okay, because we are not in native English speakers to just, gulp everything what we hear. Moving on to the next one, that's tip for IELTS reading test. I think the reading tactics, the sources which can be of support, which I would recommend, are reading newspapers, research articles, if any, magazines, weekly articles, or any blogs available. There are some that can improve your reading skills. Nowadays, even internet is a very good source, I guess, to look for some best readings of times. A few guidelines to crack the reading test would be: remember the skimming and scanning approaches. I think it's one of the best approach for reading tasks. There are 3 passages for about a page or a page and a half. Don't sit down and read long, more or less. My advice would be is to learn how to skim the text, learn how to scan the information. Keep in mind that your main aim is to locate the answers to the questions. You do not need to read and text slowly and carefully, or even do not think to stop, because avoid every unknown word, or don't even read the whole text and then questions and then again coming back to the passage, because if you're doing that, you're losing a lot of valuable time in the process. So if I were you, I would start out with the reading first paragraph and then reading first sentence of each paragraph as is the title sentence of the paragraph. Then I would go to the last paragraph as it gives an overview of the text. And finally, then I'll go to the questions and look at it. Some text types are suited to scan reading, like looking quickly for specific details, such as a fact or particular vocabulary item. I'll give you an example: reading a train timetable to find particular departure time, right? So you need to scan it quickly. So look around the numbers, around the text. Be familiar with the question types. I think it's very, very important. For example, with multiple choice questions, you can try and use common sense to eliminate some of the answers options. I think this is the best way to do when matching headings to the paragraphs. Read the headings first, rephrase them, then read the first and last sentence of each paragraph. I think this is often enough to match headings correctly. Similarly, when gap filling, read the gapped text carefully and think about both the meaning and the grammar of suitable words to fill the gaps. Now, let me tell you, this is the longest module of the test in terms of attempting the questions. If you don't set yourself a time limit to tackle each question, then I'm so sorry to tell you that you will be in harsh waters. Timing is crucial. You don't forget that you must write your answers directly on your answer sheet. You will not be given extra time to do this at the end of 60-minute reading test. So even think about skipping difficult questions and coming back to them later. So if you do this, make sure you highlight the questions you skip so that you find them later again. Another very, very important one, which I always recommend my students, is to read the text around the answer. That will help you know the inferences, understand the whole idea of the lines, where the answer is. By practicing reading passages, you can get the sense of the subject of the article, be concise, clear, what you're looking for. Also, if a text is organized in paragraphs, it's a good way to get the general meaning and to familiarize yourself with the overall content. Look carefully at any text titles, subtitles, any diagrams. This is going to give you a quick overview of what the text is about. I can go on and on, but due to the lack of time, I think I must go on with the next one, which is the writing test. I think this is, one has to be very creative to add more points and examples of any experience you're having. While writing manually, you know that we don't have any spell checker or grammar correction to edit. So we need to be very careful in this. I think tips on writing, model essays, reading genres, or instructions taken for writing from teachers or trainers or instructors. But that's going to help you develop the writing skills. I think answering all the parts of the questions, the main problem lies over where the students don't address the entire question. It's a big problem actually. Most of the student does this. Reading and understanding the question carefully and answer the questions accordingly. I think that it's very, very important. You lose marks. You cannot score over band 5 if you're missing a prompt, if you're missing any instructions given in the question and you have not answered that. So I think the best way to crack IELTS for writing is to follow the power writing plan. As you can see, I've just given the bullets of what power writing is. I'll explain this. Can you afford the time to plan the essay? I think you actually cannot afford not to plan, because planning of your writing is based on the analysis of your questions. Identify the different parts, clarify the specific topic, and understand the complete requirements of the question. Next, here, you need to select and organize your ideas ahead of writing. Break them into separate paragraphs, for instance, and to be ready to expand those ideas. Explore different ideas to provide a well-balanced response. You can actually aim for an idea, explain, and example approach. Now, coming to writing itself, you're ready to write. You've gathered everything. You should pay attention to your plan and roughly how much you have written. Remember the word counts for both the tasks, okay? That's very, very important. You're less to the word count is going to be a mistake. It's going to be because you're judged for it, you're assessed for it, you're evaluated for it. So when you finish writing, you need to evaluate. Be sure you have answered all parts of the questions. This is critical to the task response criteria. You may need to add more if you feel the information was not enough. And finally, revising and refining. That means you're ready to edit any kind of information, or you're ready to assess the writing and addressing any kind of errors. Because as humans, we all make mistakes. Look through for any possible grammatical or spelling mistakes you have made. So these 5 stages of writing, I'm sure if you follow the power writing pattern, it will let you score better. apart from that, try using your own words or similar meanings by paraphrasing the questions. Avoid repeating the same words, phrases, or ideas too oftenly. Do not copy the whole words of the questions, as they are not your words and the examiner is going to exclude them. Instead, you can use a range of vocabulary, the lexical resource. The timing is very, very essential for this part 2 of the test, as both tests are time oriented, and if your writing is well structured, you will be able to write more quickly and maybe stop less frequently to think about what to write next. Moving on to the speaking test, the best way is to speak English as much as you can with friends, relatives, colleagues. Also listen to the different accents on BBC or CNN, or National Geographic is a very good channel to just grab different kind of accents, as it's they use a lot of innovative words, creative, lexicon. Now this is a time to show your conversation skills. Please avoid short yes and no responses. They're not looking for your responses, please. Always try to include a little extra detail as they're looking for your communication skills. Show what you can do. Showcase your accuracy, fluency, range of vocabulary, your pronunciation. Now try and appear relaxed. Don't panic. Don't seem so restless or uneasy. Try to speak naturally. It will make you and your interviewer feel more positive. Now your message has to be a focused activity. What I meant is that about the given prompts, be on topic. Be on what is asked. That's what is meant by fluency, and not fluency doesn't mean speeding up your speech. Use a variety of words. Let's say if you need to express opinions, for example, you can use "in my opinion." So it's actually showing that you're opinionating something, or my perspective, according to me, I think, or as I see this. So use a range of words. Don't just stick to something specific and be static. You don't need to worry if you realize that you have made a mistake. It is really okay to correct yourself, go back to your sentence, come back again with it in a proper way. Avoid any grammatical mistakes. Be aware of the kind of tense or form of words to be used along with any tenses. Please never memorize a model answer. Examiners are trained to spot prepared answers, and you're likely to lose marks. The questions change, and so you will find it very difficult to answer naturally and fluently. This can put you actually in a ditch, so please avoid that. And never ask an examiner, is this correct? It's a very negative impact of you to that examiner. Don't ask such things. You're not supposed to ask all this. Now, while wrapping up the whole conversation in a nutshell, which I can go on and on. That's so much is coming. So wrapping up the whole conversation in a nutshell, I must summarize that there is no secret formula to achieve success. It depends entirely on the way you carry out tasks, and of course an honest attempt to practice with time management. Very, very, very important. Timing is very important in IELTS. The learners must improve their basics on English before taking up the IELTS course. Any kind of training courses of spoken, tenses, grammar, that could be beneficial and an added advantage when you're learning IELTS. Understanding the test formats, the rules of IELTS, taking any sample practice test. Be ready to do whatever it takes to reach out at the best IELTS score. Okay. Okay, the kind of preparation I am offering is online classes, which are interactive, one-on-one discussion, any kind of feedbacks or evaluations of your work, your writings, your responses. Of course, the downloaded test from Cambridge, hands-on practice with different types of questions, with different techniques of each question, because every question, every section, every variety or range has different type of techniques to apply on spot for the test. For the lexical resource, what I suggest is always the students to keep diaries. I give some drills and exercises to learn new words. I'm not providing any kind of list of 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 words to go and memorize it. I think it's very unfair on a student's part to just grab the list and start learning without any know-how or without a prior knowledge to what needs to be done. I think it's better to have some drills or exercises to understand the complex English or learning new words, and trust me, it's a very interesting drill that I do with my students, and it's very helpful for them also. For all the modules, it's very helpful. Coming to the sentence making, oh my God, it's always, I get stuck with this thing, sentence making, how to make sentences, how to think about words to create long phrases. It's something which is very much of importance in my class, and I do practice with my students to get it straight, get it strong, get it a hard hit for how to make sentences. The grammatical range and accuracy of tenses, very important. Forms of verbs, all that is very important, and we do work on that in the process of practicing. The cohesion and coherence, it has a lot to do with everything with the linking ideas, using linking phrases, connecting thoughts, or connecting any ideas you might have. So that's very important, where you have to really emphasize on that. Also, in generating ideas, it's all about brainstorming techniques, group discussions, speaking about topics, contradictory concepts. So how to deal with all that, and coming up again with ideas. Stretching speaking is very important in terms of speaking at lengths, creating kind of scenarios, situations, speaking up with intonation, pitch, pronunciation, slowing down, creating pauses, stressing on syllables, where also I work on building accents, and of course the voice exercises, that's a part of course. Moving on to the next slide, this is some of the resources that I've compiled for you, just to go on, read them out, enjoy. It gives a broad perspective of comprehension, all kind of skills you can assess, and you can actually get a lot of help through these resources and websites. Apart from this, you can always look up to any practicing websites, which are very much, they do give a lot of range and variety to the students for practicing. That's how I do this, and that's what my idea about IELTS is. I refer to Ms. Sana if there are any questions.
Now we would like to move towards the question and answers. We are ready for the questionnaire, because many students and persons want to know about that, how they have to maintain their IELTS and how they can get highest rank in it. So yes, Mr. Zalha, you got the question, of course.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Sana Khalid. Yeah, we have a couple of questions for today's webinar. So I'll be commencing with the first question. Yeah, that is, how long would it take to prepare completely for IELTS?
Thank you, Tara, for your question. It entirely depends on what skills the learner already possesses. I always recommend my students, I actually take an intro for my student. I assess the person, and according to the abilities the learner is having or possessing, then I tell how much time he or she would require for the IELTS preparation. Almost it takes about 2 months if a learner is a moderate learner or intermediate level. I think 2 months is enough. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The second question is, how can we approach you for the coaching?
There is my contact at the end of the presentation. I think we're going to share this on the website. Or I think
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
Okay, that will be shared indeed.
Yes.
The third question is, how much good accent will contribute to taking high band in speaking, especially?
Oh, it will a lot. Speaking is all about that, and you can build by practice. By practice.
With a lot of practice, with a lot of drills, with a lot of exercises, I think it's not very difficult to achieve that. But it already depends, as I said, it all depends on the learner, how enthusiastic and how motivated the learner is.
It's okay, we got your answer, I guess. The fourth question is, any special tips to organize ideas in the writing task 2, which is of 250 words?
Oh, there are some special tips and techniques which I would rest for the for the course if anyone is coming up with. But of course, there are so many. It's just I tried to put as much as I could in the presentation. But of course, there are so many, and ideas generation is all about brainstorming and reading, of course. There is internet, which is I think for the moment currently, it is the best source to generate ideas, to look for topics, to search for vocabulary, to actually look into different topics around the net, and you can read about them, you can generate some lexicon, you can actually analyze situations and come up with a lexicon.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, does the basic introduction of the candidate counts for the speaking test?
Come again?
It has been asked that the basic introduction the candidate gives to the examiner during the speaking module, does it count for the band when
It does, yes.
we are giving the speaking?
Yes, it does. It does. It does. But
Okay.
your introduction, let me just explain that quickly.
Yeah.
The introduction is always a built-up thing. You can build up your introduction because it will remain the same. Let's talk about the past, and then your past will remain static. It's not going to change. So you can actually build your introduction, and also you can speak about the current situation. You can also speculate about the future. So yes, you can. But that part is that part you can a little bit, you can generate on your own and keep.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, in listening, should we write the direct answer meaning words or a sentence?
Would be a direct answer or words or sentence? I didn't get that.
I think that they're trying to ask that whether should we answer directly in a word or in a sentence.
Listings are all about one word. You cannot actually, you're doing two things simultaneously. You're listening and you're writing. So it's not about sentences. They just probably ask you to write no more than one word or no more than two words. So it's just extracting one or two words from the whole conversation.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is which test is preferred, the computer-based or the conventional?
It totally depends, Tala. I'm so sorry to demotivate you in that, because if you're good at typing, then you should go for CBT, and if you're not, just don't. I would suggest don't. And one advantage to the paper-based is that you can write whatever you want on the question papers, and that's entirely your writing. You don't need to be conscious on what you're writing on the question paper. You can write whatever you want to, whatever words you want to, whatever ideas comes to your mind. So I think I would always prefer paper-based, as it gives you a lot more to do with the questions and the answers, of course.
Yes, of course. The next question we have here is does the region depends, like Australia or British Council?
No, as I explained earlier in the presentation, it doesn't. There's no difference. There's no difference.
Okay, there's no difference. Okay. So probably we have the last question. What is the process for getting overall good band? If anyone lacks in one segment, then how much it will affect the grading overall?
There's a lot which takes to score good band. As I said, you have to be very particular on your practice tests. You have to be very particular about learning new words. You have to be very particular about writing. You have to be very particular on speaking part, to read out, to assess, to analyze situations, to come up with social context, to develop some sort of arguments, to look for factual informations, to develop some opinions. So there's a lot you have to do. It's only when you get into the course you will understand like how it goes. But you have to have a base before entering IELTS. I am again telling everyone it has nothing to do with improving English. It has everything to do with understanding the language. Yes.
Yep. Okay, so I guess that's all from the Q&A session. Thank you.
We have one more question here in the chat.
Yes.
Yep.
What are the best way to crack multiple choice questions in listening? Any quick suggestions?
I'll hold that to me. I want to hold that. Okay. For MCQs, as I said, you need to eliminate the wrong ones first. You need to eliminate the wrong answers first and then come up with the right one. That's the best you can do with the MCQs because they're very twisting. They actually talk about everything and they're not giving you any sort of mercy to select the answer.
Okay, cool. So we have still around 10 minutes.
Another one, yeah.
One more question, yeah. So
Sure.
how to crack maps section in listening section?
Yes, Abdurraf, there is another strategy for map reading. There's actually a special language for maps. As I said, every question is having a different strategy to crack it. I think I explained this, and all type of questions have different strategies within them to come up with the right answers. So there are different languages. There is also how to locate the places on the map. So it's entirely another process. Yes.
That's okay. There is another question that came up. There is any specific methods to improve the grammar?
Yes, there are. There are definitely a lot of methods which I enforce in my classes to improve the grammar. Also about the tenses to be used, also about the form of the verbs. So there's a whole range of it. There are drills, there are exercises within the practice test. So yes, there are.
Okay. So I hope we are finished with the Q&A session now. And over to you, Michelle.
Thank you.
I hope that all the participants will get benefit from this webinar. This recording will be shared for you for your help. A very captivating presentation today. Such an eye-opener. It has been an honor having you here in our webinar. Many thanks to our honorable speaker, Mrs. Khan, for presenting the practical tips and tricks for IELTS and your valuable time out of the busy schedule, of course. This really means a lot to us. Respected audience, we would love to have your valued feedback for this event. You will be directed to a quick feedback poll that will take less than 2 minutes. Of course, you got it on your screen. You can send your feedback here. If you still have any questions, write to us with leaving your feedback so that we can improve ourselves and make such events our regular future. For our professionals with more interesting topics in future, of course, we are here to help you. I would like to thank you all for being part of this webinar and hope that all the participants have learned from our valued speaker. We look forward to seeing you in the next webinar shortly. Thanks you once again and have a nice weekend.